Hi guys, Steve Girardi here. Welcome to Steve Strings. Today I'll be doing part 3 of my Aiersi Telecaster-styled guitar kit build. And so in this episode I'll be doing the finishing. So you can see here that in my last video I showed how I shaped the neck. In the previous video I shaped the body, and I've now sanded these all down to 400 grit sandpaper, and then I wipe them all down with mineral spirits to make sure I get all that dust removed. And you can see here that I've attached just a scrap of wood to serve as a handle for this body for when I'm handling it to get it finished. So now I'll just take it outside and wipe on the finish. And right now I'm planning on using a Minwax Tung Oil Finish. So let's get to it. You can see I'm all set up here. I have my neck ready to go with some blocks to rest it on the frets so that it can dry. I have my Minwax Tung Oil Finish that I'll be using. I have this Moxon vise that I'll be clamping the guitar body into once I get it wiped down. And of course I have a rag here. It's just an old t-shirt that I'm using to wipe this on with. And I'm be following the directions as described here on the package, which basically is just to wipe this on, let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, and then buff it off. So that's what I'll do. Okay, I'm gonna let that set for about 10 minutes or so and then come back and buff it. I've been having this set for about 10 minutes now, and so per the instructions I'll go ahead and buff it, and I'll just do that with this this clean cloth, and then we'll let it set. Alrighty, so I think that's about it. Again, the instructions suggest to apply a second coat after 24 hours after this first coat and buffing. And so that's what I'll do. So I'll go ahead and let this set. I'll set it aside, and then I'll do the same thing on the body. So let's do that. Okay, I've got the body set up here, and first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and seal the edges here first on this top part. And once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and clamp it into this Moxon vise and do the other finishing after I do one side and those ends. So let's get to it. Okay, so that's the back. Let me go ahead and clamp this into the Moxon vise. I've now finished putting on the first coat. I let it dry for about 10 minutes, and then I wiped this whole thing down, sort of buffed it, and I did the same thing with the neck here. So that is the first coat. Again, I'm following the directions on the can, which says to wait 24 hours and do it again. So that's the next step of the process. It's been a couple of days now since I finished applying the finishes to both the neck and the body of this guitar kit. And again, I used the Minwax Tung Oil Finish. And I just love the way it came out on this maple neck. Hopefully you can see that it has sort of a satin finish, and that tung oil finish gave it a slightly darker color, so it was not quite as white as it was. It's a little more sort of an amber hue to it. And again, this neck came out really, really nicely with no scratches anywhere on it. I can see that I clearly sanded through all the grains, all the grits rather, uniformly, and have a nice finish. Now on the body here, I did find a few scratches, and I'll talk about that, but just, I'll try to zoom in here so you can see this. Basically, again, this is 2 coats of that tung oil finish. And again, it darkened this basswood body slightly, giving a slightly amber hue to it. And again, there in that light, you can see that sort of satin finish. But it turned out really well. I did have some lessons learned from this because, again, this is my very first solid body instrument that I've finished before, and it's the first time that I've used the Minwax Tung Oil Finish. And some lessons learned. You probably can't see it, but right here on the guitar body, there is a bit of a scratch, and I doubt you can even see that because I didn't see it when I had gone through my layers of sanding. So I think next time I'll be more careful to make sure I am I'm consistent in going through, working my way through the grits. And I think that before I had wiped this down with mineral spirits, and I didn't note those, but I don't think I was looking for them. So next time I do this, before I apply finish, I'm going to go ahead and wipe it down with either naphtha or mineral spirits, and then look for any little finish flaws anywhere where maybe I didn't sand through all the grits adequately, because I realized I could have done that better right there in a couple spots. There's some spots here, but they'll be under the pick guard, so it doesn't really matter. And on the back, you probably can't even see it because I have a hard time finding it, but there were a couple little scratches here as well that weren't sanded through all the grits to make them all go away. The other thing is here in these curves, again, this is end grain, and that end grain really likes to soak up that finish. But you can see here that it's not quite as shiny, and I realized that I didn't do as good a job sanding these curves and that flat piece there. So next time, lesson learned, make sure I sand those better to make sure they're a good clean finish. And the same thing here on the end. Again, you might be able to see there's a slightly different color here because that was a little coarser, not quite as smooth than say over here and over here. And that kind of shows up here a bit. I'm not too concerned because again, this is intended to be a player, not a show model or anything like that. And it was a learning experience for me in both sanding a solid body and also applying that Minwax Tung Oil Finish. So I've learned some things from this, and I think this looks pretty good. Again, I was hoping to see if that grain was accentuated a bit, and it looks like that tongue oil finish has done so. So I'm pretty happy with this. So again, right now, this is just the Minwax Tung Oil Finish on here, which is a kind of an oil finish, and it's not a hard finish like a wipe-on poly would be, or other kinds of finishes like gunstock oil, true oil finish. So if I wanted to give this a thicker, tougher protection, I could always do like a wipe-on poly finish, and I could do that over top of this if I wanted to. But again, I'm pretty happy with this. And if years down the road I decide I want to do something different with it, this is something that will be easy to sand back because it doesn't have layer and layer and layer of a finish that needs to be scraped off. Basically, I could just take some sandpaper and my orbital sander, and I could get this sanded back to the natural wood pretty quickly if I wanted to do painting or things like that on it. So this wraps up part 3 of my Aiersi Telecaster-styled kit guitar build. In this case, it was looking at applying the Minwax Tung Oil Finish. Again, I learned a lot from this, and I'm hoping you found it entertaining or educational as well. If you did, please give a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of my videos, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.